to low down. It basically changes too much. It's the same as unstable. Okay? So, under central banking, money supply is relative or very unstable. And the stability of money supply, one major factor is demand for banknotes. Now, the exact opposite is true. If demand for deposits goes up, this is exactly the same as demand. I can write cash. Cash is the same. In this case, cash and banknote is the same thing. This simply means demand for deposit is up. This means that reserves will go up. And this means that deposits will go up a lot. And this means that money supply goes up a lot. Now, it's important to understand, it's amazingly simple, that shrinking money supply does not benefit commercial banks. Commercial banks don't like it. They don't make money that way. Right? Okay? And rising money supply is how commercial banks make more money. Because these are loans. Money supply is driven by loans, which is, when they give a loan, they also make a deposit for the loan, okay? And they charge interest on that. So, rising money supply means, let's write it out, profits. That's where commercial banks go up a lot. And here, profits go down a lot. Now, this is the simple, common sense reason why central banks and commercial banks will always tell you that they're perfectly stable, that your money is always safe there. Remember, your money is never safe in a commercial bank under fractional reserve there, because the money is not there, okay, because the money is out of the bank, and maybe they will get it back, maybe they will not get it back, right? If they make a bad loan, they certainly won't get it back. But they will try to instill confidence, and they'll try to make people to keep more of their money in the form of a deposit and less of their money in the form of cash. So, commercial banks and central banks will be very interested in improving confidence in the commercial banks so that people can keep more of their money in the commercial banks. Demand for cash here, I forgot to write, is down. Okay. So that's how they always talk. That's how they always explain. They always tell you that it's good for you, which is not really true. It's sure good for them. It may be good for you, it may be not good for you. You take the risk, and they'll take the profits. Okay? So that is the sure thing at the moment. Alright, let's see what else I got. Alright. In short, that's page 128. I'm reading the very last sentence at the bottom for you with textbook. Under central banking, which is what I wrote, demand for cash has the paradoxical effect of lowering the money supply. So, demand for cash, the same as deposits, has the paradoxical effect of lowering money supply. That's page, let's write it out. This whole thing is page 128, 129. Page 128, 129. Okay. Okay? That's on page 128. In contrast, I'm continuing reading. The deposit of cash by the public will have the opposite inflationary effect. So, the more demand for cash, less inflation. The lower demand for cash, more inflation. This is the same when I say money supply down, this is the same as less inflation. And money supply up is the same as more inflation. So this is the paradox of the central banking. The less people need money, demand. Remember, you still have the same amount of money. The only question is how much of it you will keep in the bank and how much of it you will keep in your pocket. And that depends mostly on your confidence. If you trust the bank, you will keep most of it. If you don't trust the bank, you'll keep less of it. So, this part here, demand for money and demand for deposits, depends crucially on bank confidence, meaning consumer confidence in commercial banks. Alright, let's see what else I got here. So, summarize. Demand for cash up, money supply down, demand for cash down, money supply is up. Next. Let's see what else I got. Okay, well, that's the explanation of one, again on page 130. So this whole thing continues page 128, goes all the way to 129, 130, 131. Let's see what's next. Alright, next topic is simply money supply. I already began that topic last time. We'll continue today. What is money supply? Well, it's fairly straightforward. It is money held by the public. No, this is not money held by the banks. It's not money held by the central bank. It's money held by the public. In other words, it's money that can be spent. Money held by the public. Well, what's the money that you hold? The answer is number one, gold, if there is gold. A lot of times there is no gold. Most people will not use gold. Number two, cash. This is the same as banknotes. And number three, deposits. But again, let's clarify. Demand deposits. This is money you can walk in the bank and take immediately. If it's a time deposit, you loaned your money, you can't take it back today, it doesn't count. So, demand deposits. And all of these three, we say, held by public, what people have. All right. The next sentence. Money supply. So that's number one. This is what it includes. Does not include reserves of commercial banks held at the central banks. So, does not include reserves. It does not include reserves at central bank. And it also does not include reserves at commercial bank. For example, if there is a 20% reserve, required reserves, and for some reason the commercial bank wants to keep 25%, it will hold 20% at the central bank, and it will hold in its own cash, in its own vault, it will hold 5%. Reserves at the central bank don't count as money supply. Well, the question is, why does not include reserves at the central bank? Why? It's a simple answer. Because this money is frozen. This money cannot be spent. This money is not spendable. This money has to sit and do nothing, meaning it does the function of reserve. If there is emergency or war or something extraordinary event, the money is there. It will serve the purpose of reserve. It can be used to pay the public. But in general, this money is frozen, which is the same as unusable. This is money that cannot be spent. It just stays there. Okay? So, whatever the commercial bank has as a reserve at the central bank cannot be used. It's not part of the money supply. It's part of the money supply if it can be spent on a good or service or some asset. You buy a house, you buy a stock, you buy something else. Okay? If it can be spent. That's page 131. Okay, that's on page 131. It does not include demand deposits of the bank at the central bank or vault cash. So, at the commercial bank. Alright, cash at the commercial bank, whether it's held as a reserve or not is irrelevant, is called vault cash. Vault cash. This is cash held at the vault. Now, what is a vault? Anybody? What's a vault? A vault is highly reinforced and highly secure room where you keep money and other valuables with extremely low risk of robbery and theft. So it will have huge stone walls and concrete, and then one door, and then a second door, and then security cameras. You should have seen them on movies, right? Yeah. If you watch Hollywood. Well, that's a vault. It's just called vault cash. We'll also count inside the cash in the drawer or the cash in the teller, bank teller. But the teller cash is a tiny little amount of money. When they rob, you don't want to rob the teller. You want to rob the vault. The teller will have, let's say, $20,000, $30,000. The vault may have $2, $3 million. Okay, so it's all about the vault cash. So it's either. So this at the central bank we call again Fed funds, and this is called vault cash. These are important terms. All right, let's see. What else I have? Well, what I have written is page. This is what I've written here. This is page 132.